The silence of deep space stretched endlessly, a void so vast that even the faint glimmers of distant stars seemed insignificant. Abandoned fleets drifted among shattered planets, remnants of battles long forgotten by civilizations that had moved on. In this graveyard of stars, systems meant to guide, defend, or protect had failed. Life itself seemed left to die quietly, erased by time, entropy, and neglect, and then, a shadow moved against the dark. A Terran ship emerged, its hull sleek but scarred, engines folding space with a quiet hum that resonated like a heartbeat. It did not announce itself with fire or aggression. Its presence alone shattered the quiet, demanding attention from every fleet. Every survivor, and every observer hiding in the void. Smaller human vessels followed, flanking the main ship in formations that appeared chaotic yet were mathematically perfect, movements informed by centuries of survival and instinct. The alien sensors that had catalogued every star and fleet found themselves confused, calculating outcomes that never materialized. What they could not predict was not chaos, it was intelligence married to moral awareness, foresight tempered by the lessons of extinction, and a resolve forged in survival. The Terrans moved through the debris like tides across the ocean, displacing danger without aggression, navigating a field of death with unmatched precision. Inside the ship, life continued as it had for generations. Engineers monitored sprawling energy conduits, adjusting flows that spanned hundreds of kilometers of hull. Scientists decoded signals from fleets long abandoned, unraveling patterns without exploiting them destructively. Children walked through corridors beneath artificial suns, learning history alongside veterans who had faced annihilation and returned. Every chamber reflected humanity's adaptability, intelligence, and moral depth, a civilization capable of reflection even in the midst of war. Energy fields rippled subtly across the hull, bending stray debris, absorbing radiation, and neutralizing threats that could have torn lesser ships apart. The Terrans did not strike, they guided, protected, and endured. Presence alone became a shield, observation alone became deterrence. Alien fleets paused, their calculations failing as the humans advanced through space with patience, discipline, and purpose. The void had been silent for too long, but now it vibrated with the certainty of life that refused to yield. Humanity had arrived not to destroy, but to endure, and in doing so, it demanded the attention of the galaxy, and somewhere beyond the shattered planets, the Terran ship glided onward, patient, immense, unbroken. The quiet had ended, alien fleets scrambled at the unexpected intrusion. Centuries of dominance, meticulously calculated strategies. An AI-driven perfection faltered in the face of a species they had long dismissed. The Terran ship moved with deliberate grace, a massive silhouette among the wreckage, while smaller vessels darted around it, their formations seeming erratic but flawless to anyone watching. Every maneuver, every adjustment, was informed by foresight honed over generations of survival and tempered by moral judgment. Energy weapons flared across the void, meant to erase life instantly, yet the Terrans absorbed, redirected, or neutralized every strike. Shields shimmered like liquid metal, engines bent space to evade destruction, and sensors anticipated attacks before they could arrive. Alien AI probed systems relentlessly, seeking vulnerabilities, but each incursion was anticipated and transformed into an advantage. Every attempt to disrupt the Terran fleet only strengthened its resolve and adaptability. Inside the warship, life thrived in quiet focus. Engineers balanced sprawling power matrices with minute adjustments, scientists decoded alien communications without compromising ethics, and children learned alongside veterans the lessons of history, endurance, and resilience. Every corridor, every control hub, every chamber embodied intelligence, moral depth, and adaptability, proof that survival could coexist with conscience. The humans did not respond to provocation with aggression. Alien commanders tried psychological warfare, misinformation, feigned retreats, and threats designed to provoke. Humanity's response was calm, deliberate, and precise. Conflicts were neutralized, regions stabilized, and lives preserved without the need for destruction. Presence alone conveyed authority, foresight alone ensured survival. The galaxy began to realize a disquieting truth. the Terrans did not fight like any species known. They endured, calculated, and guided. Their strength lay not in firepower, but in intelligence, moral awareness, and the unyielding ability to act correctly when every outcome hung in the balance. And as the Terran ship advanced through the debris-strewn combat zone, the silence of space continued to shatter. Replaced by the quiet certainty of life that refused to be erased, the combat zone stretched across hundreds of light-years, a vast expanse of ruined fleets, shattered moons, and drifting starships long abandoned to the indifferent void. Centuries of war had left the region scarred and silent, a graveyard of civilizations that had once thought themselves invincible. Yet the Terran ship moved through it with patient determination, its hull massive and scarred, engines folding space in precise waves that carried it across danger with uncanny ease. Smaller human vessels flanked it, weaving patterns that appeared chaotic to alien sensors, yet were mathematically flawless, anticipating threats before they even manifested. Weapons flared in the darkness, energy beams designed to annihilate, but the humans reacted with measured precision. Shields absorbed and redirected fire, engines bent space subtly to evade destruction, and defensive systems adapted in real time. Every movement demonstrated a species that had internalized the lessons of survival, the weight of conscience, and the need for foresight. What the aliens saw as unpredictability was a higher order of intelligence, an orchestration of strategy, ethics, and adaptation beyond calculation. Alien AI systems launched probe after probe, attempting to infiltrate navigation, communication, and weapon networks. Each incursion was anticipated, neutralized, and turned into data that improved defensive and predictive capabilities. Chaos became opportunity, attack became observation, and the Terran's actions unfolded like a symphony of foresight. Algorithms designed to dominate fleets failed to comprehend the combination of instinct, moral awareness, and historical experience guiding each decision. Inside the colossal warship, life continued with quiet purpose. Engineers monitored sprawling energy grids, redistributing power across hundreds of kilometers of hull. Scientists decoded alien transmissions, recording patterns without exploitation or compromise. Children moved through corridors beneath artificial suns, learning history, strategy, and morality alongside veterans who had faced annihilation and returned wiser. Every chamber reflected human resilience and adaptability, a civilization capable of reflection even in the midst of chaos. The alien powers tried subterfuge, misinformation, restricted supply lines, isolated colonies, and psychological manipulation. Every attempt was countered before it could escalate. Humanity responded not with reckless aggression, but with calm intervention, preserving life, neutralizing threats, and stabilizing regions without unnecessary force. Fleets that once relied on intimidation began to recognize a startling truth: influence could exist without cruelty, power could coexist with conscience. And survival demanded intelligence applied with ethical foresight. Civilizations that had once been overlooked or oppressed gravitated toward the Terran presence. Refugees and explorers found sanctuary, absorbing lessons in strategy, adaptation, and moral reasoning. Humanity's influence spread subtly yet irrevocably, reshaping entire sectors not through force, but by demonstrating the power of endurance, intellect, and ethical action. Even the oldest empires began to acknowledge a reality they had long ignored: humanity did not seek conquest. Observation alone became instruction, restraint alone became authority. Survival was no longer measured in firepower, fleet size, or dominance, but in the ability to act rightly when everything was at stake. As the Terran warship pressed deeper into the combat zone, moving with calm inevitability, the galaxy began to understand something unprecedented. Humanity had not arrived to destroy, to dominate, or to conquer. Humanity had arrived to endure, to protect, and to shape the cosmos through intelligence, moral courage, and unyielding will. And through the shattered stars and drifting debris, the Terran ship glided onward, immense, patient, unbroken, a living testament to a species that refused to die. The vastness of the combat zone stretched beyond imagination, a desolate expanse littered with the wreckage of fleets that had once claimed dominion over entire star systems. Planets shattered into fragments drifted silently, moons hung like shattered ornaments, and the void itself seemed to mourn the loss of civilizations that had vanished into indifference. It was here that humanity chose to make its presence known, not with fanfare, not with aggression, but with the quiet, deliberate approach of a warship whose sheer scale and purpose reshaped the very perception of power. The Terran ship advanced, its hull dark and scarred, engines rippling space in subtle waves that warped light and motion, moving through the debris like a tide across a fractured sea. Smaller human vessels flanked it, weaving arcs and loops that appeared random to alien observers. Yet each trajectory was calculated to anticipate threats, stabilize chaotic fields, and maintain control over outcomes that even the most advanced AI could not predict. What appeared as improvisation was, in truth, a symphony of strategy, foresight, and ethical calculation. Energy beams flared across the void, their purpose to annihilate, yet the humans did not merely survive, they adapted. Shields absorbed incoming fire, bending and redirecting energy, while engines manipulated spacetime subtly to evade destruction. Each defensive maneuver simultaneously protected life and gathered data to anticipate future threats. Alien AI, long trusted to dominate, faltered against the combined intelligence and conscience of a species that had survived annihilation and learned from every catastrophe. Every assault became an opportunity, every attack transformed into information, and the human's presence itself became a lesson in calculated endurance. Within the warship, life persisted with quiet determination. Engineers monitored sprawling reactors, redistributing energy with precision across systems that spanned hundreds of kilometers. Scientists decoded alien communications, recording patterns with meticulous care, extracting insight without compromising moral integrity. Children walked through corridors bathed in the light of artificial suns, learning history, strategy, and ethics alongside veterans who had survived cosmic catastrophes. Each chamber, corridor, and control hub reflected the duality of humanity, intelligence honed for survival. Tempered by conscience, capable of reflection even amid chaos, alien forces attempted subtle tactics to destabilize the humans. Supply lines were threatened, misinformation spread, and isolated colonies pressured. Yet every effort failed. Humanity responded not with blind aggression, but with precise intervention, stabilizing sectors, protecting life, and neutralizing danger without unnecessary destruction. Observation became authority, restraint became influence, and survival demanded more than brute force. It required wisdom applied with ethical foresight. Regions of space previously neglected or oppressed gravitated toward human protection. Refugees, explorers, and fledgling colonies absorbed lessons in strategy, adaptation, and morality, learning from a species that had endured annihilation and cosmic calamity. Humanity's influence spread silently but irreversibly, reshaping sectors of the galaxy not through domination, but through demonstration, showing that intelligence, ethical action, and resilience were the truest forms of power. Even the most ancient empires began to recognize the stark reality: humanity did not seek conquest. Its dominance was subtle, profound, and enduring. Presence alone became guidance, patience alone became authority. Survival was measured not in weapons or fleets, but in the capacity to act rightly when the stakes were absolute, when the void itself threatened erasure. And as the Terran warship glided deeper into the combat zone, immense, calm, and unbroken, the galaxy began to understand a truth that had never been so clear: some species endure not through destruction, but through intelligence, moral courage, and the unyielding refusal to surrender. The void itself seemed to hold its breath as humanity pressed onward. The combat zone, once a graveyard of silence and ruin, now hummed with the quiet pulse of human presence. The Terran warship moved deliberately, immense and unyielding, flanked by smaller vessels executing patterns of uncanny precision. Fleets that had once ruled entire sectors now hesitated, recalculating every strategy in real time. Confronted by a species whose intelligence was matched only by its moral resolve. Humanity did not strike recklessly, it acted with foresight, preserving life while neutralizing threats with mathematical and ethical precision. Weapons flared across the void, alien energy beams meant to destroy, yet they were absorbed, redirected, or nullified before they could strike. Every attack against the humans strengthened their predictive systems, teaching, adapting, and guiding every vessel in perfect synchronization. AI probes infiltrated human networks repeatedly, seeking control, yet each intrusion was anticipated, neutralized, and transformed into insight. Humanity's survival was a living calculation. A balance of intellect, morality, and adaptation that no enemy could comprehend. Inside the warship, life continued in a rhythm of purpose. Engineers monitored sprawling energy conduits, adjusting power flows with meticulous attention. Scientists decoded alien signals, cataloging patterns without compromise. Children learned alongside veterans, walking through corridors beneath artificial suns, absorbing lessons in history, strategy, and endurance. Every chamber, every control hub, every corridor embodied human resilience, intelligence, and ethical depth. Alien powers attempted subterfuge, isolated colonies, misinformation, and subtle provocations designed to provoke human retaliation. But humanity responded with precision and calm, neutralizing crises without unnecessary force, stabilizing sectors, and preserving lives. Influence came not through fear, but through example. Authority emerged not from aggression, but from foresight and ethical action. Fleets that had once relied on intimidation began to recognize that true power lay in intelligence applied with conscience. Civilizations previously abandoned or oppressed gravitated toward the human presence. Refugees, explorers, and fledgling colonies found sanctuary, learning adaptability, strategic thinking, and ethical decision-making from a species that had endured extinction, planetary collapse, and cosmic calamities. Humanity's influence spread silently but permanently, reshaping sectors of space not through domination, but by demonstrating endurance, intellect, and moral courage. Even the oldest empires began to understand a truth they could no longer ignore: humanity did not conquer. Its dominance was quiet, profound, and enduring. Observation became guidance, patience became authority. Survival was measured not in weapons or fleets, but in the ability to act correctly when the universe threatened annihilation. And as the Terran warship pressed onward through the debris-strewn void, immense, patient, and unbroken, the galaxy realized that humanity had arrived not to dominate or destroy, but to endure. To protect, and to teach the stars what it meant to survive with intelligence, courage, and conscience. The quiet of space had become a testament. Some species endure, not by violence, but by will. The universe unleashed a force beyond comprehension, a cosmic anomaly that erased entire systems without warning, indifferent to life, civilizations, or strategy. Fleets that had once ruled sectors trembled, AI collectives froze, and empires that had endured millennia faced the terrifying reality that existence itself could strike without mercy. Humanity confronted this impossible threat with calm resolve. The Terran warship positioned itself as a bulwark, massive and immovable, engines bending space to protect entire systems. Smaller vessels stabilizing the surrounding void with precision that defied calculation. Energy flares surged across the battlefield, yet the humans did not retaliate recklessly. Shields shimmered, absorbing destructive forces. Energy fields bent and redirected chaos. Engines manipulated spacetime to preserve life. Every system worked in concert, anticipating threats, countering annihilation, and guiding survival with intelligence sharpened by centuries of hardship and moral clarity. The cosmic force could not predict humanity's balance of foresight and conscience. What logic could not grasp, ethics and experience mastered. Within the ship, life moved undisturbed. Engineers monitored reactor cores spanning kilometers, adjusting energy flows with surgical precision. Scientists cataloged phenomena that defied understanding, recording patterns without compromising morality. Children walked alongside veterans, learning strategy, history, and the lessons of survival. Every corridor, every chamber reflected the duality of humanity, capable of extraordinary intelligence, tempered by conscience, capable of reflection even amid cosmic chaos. The anomaly's onslaught gradually slowed. Humanity's fleet contained, neutralized, and stabilized the region, leaving devastation only where it could not reach human-aligned systems. The Terran ship remained vigilant, ensuring colonies, refugees, and explorers remained protected. Presence alone had become protection, observation alone had become reassurance. Humanity's power was not measured in fleets or firepower, but in the ability to endure, act rightly, and preserve life when the universe itself threatened erasure. The galaxy understood a truth long ignored: survival was not brute force. It was foresight, morality, and unyielding courage in the face of annihilation. Humanity had not come to dominate, conquer, or destroy. Humanity had come to endure, to protect, and to demonstrate the power of intelligence and conscience. And through the endless void, where stars trembled and galaxies seemed to hold their breath, the Terran warship glided onward, immense. Patient, unbroken, some species protect. Some species endure. Some species refuse to die.